there and welcome. Wait a minute. I know you're tuning in for Donna Cravata, the real 50 over 50. And who are you? Well, I'm Stephanie D'Alfonso. I'm a very good friend of Donna's. And when we talked about this, first of all, when she first came up with this, I was like, oh my gosh, so excited. But then she was saying she was going to do this first one and who was she going to interview at her? And I was like, well, no, 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 no. Our first interview, our special guest is, drum roll, please. And I won't do it too loud. Bring yourself on, please. Our first interview today is with the woman behind the real 50 over 50, Donna Cravata. Yay. Thank you for playing with me with this. I just thought it was so important to lay the foundation here. And instead of you interviewing other people, which you'll be doing for years to come with this, apparently, I thought it was important for you to be able to share your voice about this.
Okay. All right.
So,
I'll
uh,
play.
I know. You gotta feel more comfortable on the other side of it, but I did reach out to you and I said, "Well, I could be Leslie Stahl for you." And I said Leslie Stahl because a few people have told me over the years, "Oh yeah, you look like Leslie Stahl." And I'm like, "I don't know if that's a compliment or not." So let's just leave that and move on. So the real 50 over 50. Have you been planning this for a long time?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And in all right, so I've got all these questions,
Maybe
but I
3.
wanna
I could be
start
lying. It might be 3. It's a blur.
okay, and since I know all the behind the scenes of what's going on, it's like what you've accomplished in 2 or maybe 3 weeks is mind-blowing. But I think that really where I wanna start with this is there's a lot of 50 over 50. There's, a lot of photographers have been doing that. There's the Forbes 50 over 50. Why did you come up with the real 50 over 50?
Because, the photography things are kind of a different beast, and, I think that they're really they're great. I did one, and it was a great experience, but they're not very, publicized. They do them, and, the people that do the photography, it goes on for a little bit, but no, it doesn't really grow in any way, doesn't really have an impact in any way, like in a bigger way, other than the people that are involved, which is not to detract from that. I love the idea. And the Forbes 50 over 50, it's, again, great idea, great visibility, great things come from it, but it's all people that everybody already know
Right,
and
it's
everybody
famous
knows what they
people.
do. And then I just started to think about all of the people that I personally know that are doing this every day. They're in the trenches doing the work, changing lives, making an impact. And then, the things that brought them to where they are. And I mean, that's kind of related to the work that I do, is that I help people bring their stories together, bring their parts together so they can remember how they got to where they are and they can introduce that to people. And I think that it's like the trajectory I've been in over the last year or so, that's become very apparent that it's really important, not just to me and my work, but it's important for everybody to do that. And when you reach a certain age, I'm a big believer when you turn 50, there's this no bullshit button that gets installed. And even if you think you didn't deal with bullshit before, this is a whole different level. And
Yeah,
I think when that happens, you start to let things go. And when you start to let things go, also start to let things go that you really shouldn't let go because they're part of what brought you to where you are. And I think that this is a celebration of bringing all of those parts together individually and collectively so we can make a bigger impact and we don't forget the things that we've done. And that's important on a couple of levels. That's important, for each of us as an individual, for us as a group, for the work that we do, for the impact that we make in the world. But it's also really important because I think that we're in this little bubble of a group of people that are at a crossroads in how life was and how life is going to be. Everything is going to change so drastically. Like this next generation isn't going to have any connection to how we lived and how we grew up. And like there's some of that doesn't need to get thrown away, you know? There's some of that that we are now the keepers of that, and we're the ones that have the responsibility to bring that forward so it's not forgotten. And, I just really think it's important, and all of these pieces have come together, and when I started to think about this, everything just went click, 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 like these the road that I've been on these last couple of years of letting go and figuring out what works for me, and what do I want this next third of my life to be like, and all of those things, and it just aligned, and it felt so right, and, um it's not about, like, making this into a pitch fest at all, that's not what I want. I mean, yes, we all have businesses and, make money and should make money, and things will happen that, and of course they're gonna happen. We're all in this for, we're all doing the same thing. But, um, but I want this to be about the stories and people, like, reclaiming parts of their past that they forgot about or didn't think were relevant or just, didn't think anybody cared. And, one of the things that I'm seeing now as technology is moving so fast, I get excited about all the new stuff and I'm a
Hmm.
tool freak and all of that. But I'm finding I'm the old broad in the room, and I'm okay with that. But I don't want people to get, relegated to the corner because they're a certain age. I think that we can all use these tools and we can all learn how to move forward together and not forget the past.
There's so much to unpack in what you just said. So let me just try and take it, chunk it down into some smaller pieces. So you mentioned several times about the parts, and you have been telling me, full disclosure, Donna and I have been good friends for a long, long time now. Didn't have quite as many of these when we started out, but that's okay. We're claiming them now. So you've been telling me for years that I needed to embrace all my parts. And it took me years to really start to integrate that and understand it because, I'm like, oh, that doesn't connect. And it's like, oh, yeah, it does. So I've heard you say this, not just to me, but to many people over the years. And it seems to me that in this past year or year plus with you, that you are finally being like the shoemaker whose, kids ran around without shoes on, right? That you're finally reclaiming your parts. So, how did that come about? And what kind of a difference did that make for you when it landed? And did that have a part in doing this, the real 50 over 50?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with my grandfather was a shoemaker.
Oh gosh, now see, I told you before we started, I didn't know everything. One more piece I learned today.
um, well, the last 4 years of my life have been about sending a child to college in a pandemic, dealing with a health issue, redesigning my business, deciding what I want and what I don't want in every aspect of my life and my work. And all of that really leads you to examining the pieces. And I never really had a chance to do it for myself because I was busy doing it for everybody else.
Mhm.
And um, I realized that I am a storyteller. I'm creative. I pull together things in a way that nobody else really does.
Yeah, I'll second that.
I have been working since I'm 16 years old. I have been taking care of people my entire life. I don't wanna do that anymore.
But you mean this whole real 50 over 50 isn't about taking care of all the other over 50 women?
No,
No,
it's not,
okay,
it's
good.
not, it's not. I learned about boundaries, um, and I basically dismantled my business and started to build it back brick by brick with boundaries built in, focusing on the work I love, and this is part of what I love. I love to hold up other people. I love to fall in love with what people are doing, and then I see opportunities for them. I never was able to see that for myself.
Well,
Um,
and another piece that when you've talked several times now, you mentioned about boundaries, and I know, your heart is you wanna build a community, and you had done that in the past, and it really did give you some great lessons about building boundaries.
Mhm.
And so now here you are stepping back into, you're not just doing a project, you're really building a movement, you're building a community. And that's what one of the things when you were talking about, the other 50 over 50, whether it's the photographers or Forbes or whatever, there didn't seem to me to be community in that. And that seems to be like a real foundation. Why is that important to you?
Um, One of the things that happens when you hit this age, like life changes, right? So
Yeah.
for years, my friends came from they were my they were friends from work. They were then I wasn't working anymore. Then they were friends from my son and parents of his schoolmates and his friends. And then he went to college, and we're still connected, but it's not the same. We don't have that common bond of kids going through day-to-day life that we're responsible for. So it changes. And then like you sit down and you're, I don't know, 58 years old, and you're like, how do I make some new friends? So I think
Yeah.
it's a different scenario. We're in different places in our lives. We don't quite know what to do. And I thought that this was a great way to, pull people together that were in, a common place in their lives. They have common values. I mean, this may be viewed as a demographic type thing because it's 50 over 50, but I honestly don't believe in demographics. I believe in, shared values. I believe in we care about the same things, and that's what really matters. And that's when you really understand people, you really understand what they need, what they want, how you can come together in whatever it is that you're doing. And I really do like I believed this before, but after sitting with everybody's completed questionnaires and building the web pages and marketing and all of these things, it is astounding to see it like in a spreadsheet in front of you that everybody that is on this list, now we're talking, I have about 130 names on the list. I've received information for a little over 50 people. So we already have a year's worth of interviews guaranteed, and about 25 of them booked already. And but looking at that information together, it's like this is what these women do. They're involved in healing trauma. They're psychologists, they're coaches and consultants, they're speakers and authors, they're lawyers, real estate agents. Sorry, I'm reading. I don't want to forget anything. Health coaches,
Hypnotist.
healers and hypnotists, that was the next line. Um, Creators of all kinds, artists, and this is what they've overcome: cancer, health issues, addiction, divorce, betrayal, hardship, loss of many different ways, losing family members, losing friends, having children leave the nest, I mean, losing a child, losing a pregnancy, losing your rights. I mean, so many different things. And this doesn't even factor in like the work that they did at the first half of their lives. So there's people that ran nonprofits. I mean, the amount of information, wealth, of wisdom, and just I don't even know what word to put on it. I mean, it's just a brain trust that is unparalleled. And I am so excited to see what happens when we come together. I'm so excited to see the excitement of the other people. And it feels really refreshing. That is the word that keeps coming up for me. When I was first putting things together, the word was pure. And like I wanted it to be pure. I didn't want it to be about sales or a pitch fest. But now it's refreshing. It just like everybody is just showing up and they're excited and they're like, "Can I invite somebody? What about this person? Have you met this person?" Connecting me on LinkedIn. It's just it's amazing. It's amazing. And it feels good.
And so a lot of the things that you were talking about of, things that we've overcome and being of, I don't like to talk about age and ageism. I really, you know me, I'm like, what we think is what what becomes our reality. So I don't look at, oh, I'm 63 and that's a negative. I'm like, okay, look at this. I've earned this. I've got the wisdom, right? And something you said yesterday really landed with me. Before I get to that, I want to just back up one thing. So you're only 2 or 3 weeks into this, and you said 50 over 50, the real 50 over 50, and you've already got well over 50 women raising their hands, not just raising their hands for themselves, but raising their hands for themselves and saying, "Oh, and can I bring along so and so?" So one of my tried and true repeat over and over again is a rising tide raises all ships. So you're gathering all these women who are like saying, "Yes, yes, I want to be a part of it." And what you said yesterday really stuck with me of you're going through all these over 50 of these questionnaires so far, and you've got another 150 on the way already. And one thing you noticed that we were not saying, do you remember what that was you said yesterday?
Mhm. That you the reason well, the question on the questionnaire was, "What do you think increased visibility will do for your business?" And so far, not one person has said anything about financial gain. It's all been about making an impact.
And that's the heart, your heart. That's the heart of this whole thing, isn't it?
Mhm. Yep.
Right? It's about you making a difference in the world by gathering this group of amazing women who are, again, I don't like to get into the whole, the anti-aging, beauty, billion-dollar industry. Let it go, right? Let's focus on we are the wise women,
Mhm.
and gathering all these women together. The reason you're attracting so many women like woo like this is because you're coming from that pure place.
Yeah. And what this is gonna turn into, it's gonna turn into the wisdom revolution.
Tell me more about that, please.
It just popped into my head because I was just thinking, like, like, you can come to this tribe and get, like, any question answered. I mean, we can go work carnivals.
I'll pass on the carnivals.
But, I mean, really, you could get any question answered, and, like, I don't know where this is gonna go. I know, like, I know possibility, and I see possibility. This is
Okay.
my little magic
Has
thing.
it already gone a lot farther than you envisioned the
Oh,
start would
yes.
be?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
and this is funny, I'm gonna go back to your first question of, like, why what prompted me to do this. When I have an idea, the first thing that I do is keyword research. So, I started to do some keyword research around 50 over 50. What came up was dating advice for women over 50, makeup, clothing, what not to wear, I mean, just like frivolous stuff, things that, like, there was nothing of substance to it. And I was like, damn, we need to make some noise because we're not coming up in search results other than like what eyeshadow to wear and like don't date the guy with the fish on the dating apps.
So this wisdom,
Mhm.
right? Um, how does that tie in with? Again, I know the backside, a little bit of how deep into this AI you're going that, everybody's talking about ChatGPT and AI and blah blah blah. And most people have no clue
No.
what this can do. I have just the tiniest sliver of understanding of it, and you now are going into the back end. So, can you talk about how that wisdom that you have to share with this group, which then ripples out, how that affects? And then the second part of that is how we pass that mantle on to the younger generations behind us that have never known a part in their life without technology.
Okay, so chat AI tools or chat GPT, which is the one that's really popular, but it's basically going to be built into every single tool we use. So every tool we use is going to change, and we're going to be able to do conversational research with every tool that we use. So it'll be like Alexa for everything.
All right. So delve a little bit because this is where, you know, you've called me out many times on I've got this conversation in my head and I try and tell you something and you're like, okay, I'm not a part of that conversation. This conversational research, delve a
Mhm.
little bit more into that because I think a lot of people don't like, what does that mean?
Okay, so Chat GPT, you could put anything in there and you could ask it a question. You could ask it to find something for you. You could ask it to rewrite something, and it pulls information from the web. But it doesn't understand what the words are. It's just making the next logical, assumption on what it should pull for you. So I think people are viewing it as though they might be scared of it, which, or they might dig their heels in and say, I'm not going to use it. You're not going to have a choice. It's here. It's not going anywhere. It is already being built into everything that we do. There were 8 big announcements yesterday about, yeah,
Yikes.
yeah.
In one day.
One day, okay? And it's going to be part of our lives and how we do things. And it already is. It's not new, it's been around for years. Think about Grammarly, think about Alexa, think about the GPS in your car or on your phone. That's all built on AI. And it's just going to become more mainstream, more acceptable. It's going to be built into everything we do. So instead, like, there are people that will dig in their heels and not want to do it. There are people that are going to think that this is the solution and they're not going to be part of the equation of using it. They're going to copy and paste. Don't do that. That is not the way to use it. The way to use it is to treat it as a really smart assistant.
So talk a little bit about what's the difference between just copying and pasting, like putting into Chat GPT, can you write me a blog about blah, 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 and then copy and pasting that? What is the downside of that? And how do you see using the AI to take that and make it your own so you're really doing something magnificent with it and using the tool to its extent that you can?
Okay, so for currently, it cannot fact check. So how
And
much?
I don't know
How
if you've seen it, I'm sure you have. I've seen that on some, news things, and it's like,
Yeah,
"Whoa."
yeah. How much inaccurate information is on the net that it's just pulling and randomly hodgepodge putting together. So that's not stuff that you want to post. It will also be dinged from search engines because it's going to clearly not be accurate information. So you'll end up losing rankings on that. And there's no human element to it. It's not human. You need to bring the human to it. You are the human. And it can't replicate who you are. The other thing is, there are going to be thousands and thousands of people pulling the same information. So, you're going to be putting repetitive bad information out into the world, into online world, and it's not going to serve you well. It's not going to, let you connect with the people that you want to connect with. It's not going to, raise your influence in search engines. It's just going to, be more noise out in the world. But if you use it, like, okay, so we're all at this age group where we've mastered everything that we're doing, right? We've got those 10,000 hours. You bring those 10,000 hours and say, okay, I know what I do. I know what's right. I know what's wrong. I could also do a little research and figure out something because my instinct is telling me this doesn't smell right, right? And you gather the information, and then you are the human layer on top of that. You say, this works and this works, and let me put that together. And I could do some research to fact check this myself because I know where I can go find the right information. And now you are not part of the noise anymore. You're part of the group that is putting, information out, and quality, accurate information out into the world faster and more efficiently than you ever could before.
Wow. That is worth replay, replay, replay. And what just popped into my mind is, and you and I have had private conversations about this, how, I'm a trained hypnotist, I'm a trained NLP practitioner, and for those who don't know, it's neuro linguistic programming. And you and I see all the time, learn NLP for $7. There's a very famous hypnotist now, learn hypnotherapy for $29. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's no wisdom behind it. There's no 10,000 hours behind it. So you could take the AI and use it. Like, I wish I had a battery here to prove my point. Is a battery, every battery has a positive and a negative side to it. So much like anything in life, there's a positive and a negative side to it. And you and I had conversations many years ago about the 2016 election. And then they had that movie, I forget what the name of the movie was, where it talked about how they were using social media and leveraging that for influence, or manipulation is the term that I would use. So are you saying that with this wisdom that we've earned, we could use and harness this ability, this potential of AI to actually spread our wisdom in a positive way to influence more than just our small circle?
Yep.
That's huge.
Yep.
So did you see this? Was this like in the back burner when you came up with this idea of the real 50 over 50?
It's going to be part of everything I do. So, yeah.
Okay. So what do you see? Now, first of all, again, I think that this caught fire a lot faster than you realized it was going to. So if you could close your eyes, and I'm not going to ask you to actually close your eyes, but if you were to close your eyes and I had a magic wand and I could say, all right, Donna, 2 years from now, what does the real 50 over 50 look like? Or can you even imagine that?
I can't imagine, and I want to keep open with this because I don't want to limit any possibilities at all. Um, but what I can see right now is that we are a group of experts that are called on many, many, many different platforms, different topics, and we are making a difference every single day in a bigger way than we are now.
Okay. So, do you have any final words? And I do have one more question. So, is there anything, one more point that you haven't been able to make yet that you want to share?
I just want everybody to be excited about this. And I have not even begun. I've been in, like heads down, just building all the annoying parts of this. And I'm almost done.
Yay.
And then I could move into the part that's fun and the part that I enjoy. And I'm gonna put some real effort into this. And I hope other people will too. It's not just about me. This is not, I'm just the one that came up with the idea.
Yeah, an incredible idea as well, my friend. So, all right, the thing I want to wrap up with is, what if someone is watching over 50 or like me over 60 and she thinks, I don't know, I don't know if I really could be a part of that because who am I? What would you say to her?
That's where you need to start to think about, like, what got you here? What were the things that you've overcome? Where have you helped people? What do you do every day that helps somebody? People don't realize what they do every single day. Those little things that add up, and they focus on the negative things.
Yeah. And, I'll wrap my part with, I just posted it again today on LinkedIn of, don't focus on that negative. Focus on what's right now.
Mhm.
And what's right now is, thank you. I'm so glad that we got to have this conversation. And thank you for letting me be a part of this, of, not the glitz and the glamour of, Forbes 50 over 50 or something like that, but the real
This
50
is
over
real.
50.
This is real. This is real. And I can say that because other than maybe 4 or 5 people, so far, I know every single woman on this list, and not just for 2 or 3 weeks. I know them for years, and, I know what they've done. I a lot of them have been clients, a lot of them are friends, colleagues, and, I know what they've done. I've seen them in action, and I'm excited to see where this takes all of us.
All
So
right.
please
So
share.
if someone wants to get more info about whether being a part of this or letting someone else know about it, how do they get in contact with you?
DM me on Facebook or on LinkedIn, or go to the website, thereal50over50.com. It's almost all operational.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.